Good morning, rise and shine, day 102, and the water is like glass this morning. I'm going to show you. It's like a mirror. It's so still, and you can see those geese over there just leaving a trail. The colors are so saturated. I'm trying to zoom back in. I might have to do this because it's getting ready to storm, I think. And so the cloud cover is just creating this landscape. I feel like I could be in Ireland, y'all. Like, look at this. Look at those pastures and the rolling hills. As much as I love Florida and I'm ready to be a Floridian, I live in a pretty beautiful place. Man. So good morning. I read several Psalms this morning, but one phrase or verse stood out to me in particular, and it was from Psalm 116. And it was, he protects those with childlike faith. And I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting. And there's a lot of reminders throughout the Bible to be childlike, and the faith that children, and the capacity that children have to believe and imagine. The first couple of lines of this this chapter, this psalm, in my translation, which is the New Living Translation, it also gives the image of he bends down and listens. So that's kind of like a fatherly image with a child, and then to have that childlike reference a few lines later, I thought was an interesting kind of setup, and probably very intentional, that we get so caught up. And in Psalm, I think it was 114 or 115, right before this one, there's also a very vivid description of people that worship idols. And then it goes into the description of idols. You know, they have eyes, but they can't see. They have feet, but they can't walk. You know, all of the things, because they're inanimate objects. But, and here I'm going to link these two. I think it's going to make sense, at least up here, that this is part of the trap that we fall into as adults when we lose our ability to be childlike, when we forget, we don't take time for ourselves, and we get so caught up in our day-to-day responsibilities, and we become, the business of life becomes so serious that we suck the life out of life, that we operate more like robots. Like, we have eyes, but we're not fully seeing what's around us. We have feet and arms and hands, but are we really taking full advantage of what they can do and the potential? Are we taking time to enjoy life? Children, it's awesome just to go to a playground and watch children play, or if you have children at home, good morning, have children at home, or you have grandchildren, whatever. Like, really, or think back to just being a child. Like, none of us are so old, or we shouldn't be, if we can't remember what it's like to be a child. And if you do have trouble remembering what it's like to be a child, or you even look at children playing and you can't appreciate it, that might be a sign that you need to do some of this work. For some reason, you know, I love movies. Y'all hear me make movie references sometimes, but the Lego movie, have y'all seen the Lego movie? If you shouldn't, it's a good one. But that, of course, is very childlike. And there's one character in it called Lord Business. And it's based on Will Ferrell plays the dad in this movie. And his son, of course, in his play is making it, kind of sees his dad as Lord Business. He's all serious. He never has fun. He blah, blah, blah. And of course, throughout the movie, you see the softening of this character. And eventually he's able to see that he is so serious that he has overtaken his son's Legos. He isn't allowing his son to even be childlike because he's taking it so seriously. And that he's realizing that he's even stealing kind of his own child's childlike essence through his being so serious. And that's easy to do. I think we all can identify with that. And when we watch that movie and we're like, oh yeah, I can do that as a parent, as an adult. And sometimes we look at other adults who have a childlike essence and we kind of like look down on them. But you know what? I look up to them. Like the CEO of Virgin Airlines, like that guy is always playing and having a good time. He's enjoying and he takes his businesses very seriously, but he incorporates a lot of fun into his life as well. I think he gets it. But children, you know, they have the capacity they're open. Their brains are open. They're teachable. They're learning. They have no problem believing in things like Santa Claus because they're not getting busy and too caught up in their logic. And as I am, you know, going on this faith adventure and learning that even though we're told in the Bible, my ways are not your ways, like you just don't really get it until you get it, you know? And you're like, oh, well, in order to get it, you've got to incorporate some childlike faith back into your adult brain. Yes, yes. This is an encouraging topic. We don't give ourselves permission to have fun as adults. This is a big disconnect and a big reason a lot of us, you know, turn to different things to cope with our stress rather than to a healthy childlike attitude and just incorporating more play and downtime, letting our imagination run wild, dreaming, allowing ourselves to see, you know, the scales to come off of our eyes and to see things as they really are. Like when we see things on this earth, this may sound weird to you all, but you're not seeing the full picture. You've really got to open your mind to see. You can't just trust your eyes and your logical senses. You're going to miss it. And so we really need to retain that childlike essence to be able to see our Creator truly at work in this creation and even to tap into our own full potential. Not to say that we don't need logic and being responsible and all of that. It's a balance. We do need all of that. Sometimes I feel like if I didn't have my husband around or those things, like I would like float off of the earth because I get so dreamy that I'm like, I need, you know, people and things to ground me because that's important. But it's just as important to play and to imagine and to dream. And because everything first starts as a thought. Everything. Think about it. Before we had cell phones, we had somebody that dreamed and persisted with radio communication and telephones. Before we had cars, we had somebody that knew it was possible. It started with a thought and then a dogged determination to go, well, if I can think it, then it is possible. Kennedy even, you know, setting everybody's focus on in the mission to get on the moon. It happened, even when people thought it was impossible. Kids don't think that way. They're not limited by that. Like, if you watch, like, it's just wonderful. So allow yourself to be childlike and just dream about the possibilities. And if you're not a believer in a higher power or a God, maybe that's where you need to start. Just imagine. What if there is? What if there was something that you could put your faith in and trust? I don't know. Your world could change. Your life could change. So, if you are taking your life too seriously, and so seriously, even for the Christians, like, this is a trap, I think, especially for Christians, that they just suck the life out of life, and they're walking around, just judgmental and, all of these things. And our mission is to bring people into the faith. And we're repelling them by our sour, serious attitudes. Repeatedly, God and Jesus and all of these believers talk about the joy that we should have, that should exude from us, so much that we're like magnets. And instead, a lot of us are repelling people. So if you have faith, but you're not enjoying it, like it's just this a taskmaster to you, maybe you need to go think about what it was like to be a child and bring some of those aspects back into your life. And now we'll all experience childhood differently. So play for me is going to look different from what play might look for you. But, really think back to, or a time in your life when you still had joy, if you're not experiencing joy right now. Because if we really believe that the Holy Spirit dwells in us and he kind of lives in and through us, don't you think he wants a little bit of joy? He doesn't want to live in a sour, depressing place. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay. I wish you could see. Oh man, the colors are not quite shining through, but it is literally like glass out there. I love nature. So for me, this is like this. I'm out here playing every morning because it's like candy for me to look at nature and, see the flowers and watch the squirrels and meander with my dogs while they're sniffing. To me, fun. I spent my childhood with my nose in a book. So play's going to look different. I used to play library a lot. Yeah. But anyway, allow yourself to dream. Allow yourself to imagine. Allow yourself to be open and curious and experimental. Like, that's what kids do. They just try things. They follow their, whims and desires. So allow some of that back into your life for designated periods. Do you have a Sabbath where you could play? Do you have an hour a day that you're letting yourself just be human? And we've got all the time in the world, and we are responsible people. I'm not saying to not be responsible and to only be childlike, but allow some play and openness, and it's more of an attitude. And when you find yourself slipping into frustration, anger, overwhelm, busyness, those are all signs that, I maybe need to push the pause button and play a little. Turn on some music. Go for a drive. Something that brings you joy and brings you back to reality. Because if you're getting too caught up in what our logical brain wants to call reality, and you just suck the life out of life. You become like one of those lifeless idols, and you're making life itself an idol, and then turning ourselves into robots. God didn't create robots. He doesn't want robots. He wants people that are full of life and joy and faith and curiosity and seeing behind the veil, that have the imagination to see what's really going on. All right, I'm in a very dreamy state this morning, and God has really just gifted me with a beautiful morning before the storms come. All right, have a great day. And if you're gonna rise, you might as well shine. Bye for now. See you tomorrow morning.